In this video, we are going to build a two-dimensional decision zone map. So let's take a look at a two-dimensional decision. Why are we speaking of a two-dimensional D-zone map as opposed to three-dimensional D-zone map? The reason is, in this case, we have two possible options to select from. If we were to have three possible options to select from, we would not use this model but use the three-dimensional model. Both models are the same in terms of actually drawing the decision tree, but when it comes to developing the D zones, the two maps are different. What you're seeing here is a two-dimensional map, and later we will show you what a three-dimensional map looks like. In this video, I'm not going to explain to you how to build a decision tree. That was a subject in a previous video. What you need to recognize is that we have our probabilities linked to these scroll bars, the red scroll bar and the blue scroll bar. Also, there is a unique feature in this particular model. It is that this decision is impacted by both probabilities, and this one is only impacted by one probability. This is a very unique case. In typical problems, one decision will be impacted by the red node and the other decision by the blue node. But in this case, we have a slightly different one, which will result in a curved demarcation line as opposed to a straight line. If the two are truly independent, the demarcation line is a straight line. Okay, now we're ready to look at the decision zone maps or D-zone maps. Let's click on D-zone, and here you see an interesting chart. It's all blank at present, and I will explain to you all the details in a minute. First, make sure that all the yellow cells are empty. If they are not, just select and delete everything so that you have only a point. As you can see, this point represents the two probabilities, the 50% probability of the license being granted and the 60% probability that it would be sold to another broker. As we proceed to plot the demarcation line, we need to move this pointer to various probabilities. To do that, we use these two scroll bars. And if you want to move it in large steps of 10%, just click in the middle of the scroll bar. As you can see, it moved by 10. If you want to move in smaller steps of 1%, simply click on the arrow here. And the same is true in the blue. Here we move in 10% steps, and if I use the arrow, I move very slowly. This is useful as you try to plot your chart. You have two blank boxes, we'll see what they are in a minute, and then two scroll bars corresponding to the same two scroll bars that you saw in the tree page right here. Okay. This text box actually helps you to toggle between the charting mode and the edit mode. And this message actually tells you which mode you're presently in, and this is to check to change. Okay. So let's get into the edit mode here. Right now we're going to edit the information. What decision are we trying to make? The decision we're trying to make is whether to contract to purchase or wait for import license. So the red decision is contract to purchase. And the blue decision, if you recall here, is sold to another broker, but it drives the wait for import. So the actual decision is wait for import license. So I'm going to type wait for license. As you can see, as soon as I type these two words, the two zones are named here. Presently, they are in an arbitrary location. Later on, we will move these to their corresponding zones. What are the two activities that drive these two decisions? In the red case, it's the license being granted. The probability of the license being granted drives the red, and the sold to another broker drives the blue. Let's say license granted, and to the next one we'll say sold to broker. So this tells us what activities drive these two. When I type these, here we see our labels now. The probability of the license being granted is 0.357 or 35.7, and the probability of being sold to another broker is 60%. So the text that you enter actually populate the label. The next thing is to fill these two expected values, and this is where you need to make sure you are toggled to the edit mode. Right now we are not in the edit mode, we are actually in the chart mode. So we have to click here to get to the edit mode. Here it says current setting allows you to link the EV values F3 and F4 to the tree. So let's link it. So it's equal sign, and the EV value that corresponds is this one. Sometimes you can't select this point. That's because your tree is protected. So you need to go to review and unprotect it if it's protected, and it should be okay. All right. So we select here and we enter, and we have the EV value. For the next one we put equal, and we come here, and this is the next EV value. These are the two EV values that determine which decision we are going to stick with. The residual value is the leftover probabilities in each case. So it's equals. In here, if we have 50% here, this is the leftover value. And for the blue, it's slightly different, which is equals. We must look at this value. What is the balance from this 60? That's the residual value is 40. So we've got that also. We're done. All we have to do now is to plot our demarcation line. To do, click to change to charting mode. Right now you're in the charting mode with the green go sign, and just click on any of these two values. You can select the red or the. When you click one of these, it will change these values. This will become equal. Right, the demarcation line is the tracking of the points where the EV1 values are equal. So here I click this, and you see it became 1 and 1, and it's asking me, do I wish to add this point to the chart? And the answer is yes. There you are. Let's move a little bit up. That's too high. Let's go there. And I just moved the blue, so let's see what red value corresponds to it. So I click on the red, and it says, do you want to add it? And I'll say yep. I'll move a little bit more here, somewhere here, and click the red and add some more. Click the red and add more. Okay, or I can even change the red a little bit. Say I'll change the red a little bit, and click the blue and add it. See, let's come all the way down here now. So let's say the red is this, and what blue value would correspond to this. So I'll click blue, and it says 1.36. Go a little bit further and click the blue again. I think we've got a pretty decent curve here, so we'll stop here. You can add another point if you like. There's no need for it. Look at the decision itself, the message, and also the solution validity. If I move this point a little further away and up a little bit, in this zone, the decision is contract to purchase. So here we are, and let me expand this a little bit so we can see the whole thing. And I'm going to put it over here. And when I come across this line and see what happens, and now I'll go slowly, see what is going to happen to this decision here. Wait for import license. So this zone is wait for license. So there you are. We have actually now identified the two zones, and let's go back to our 50% starting value and the 60%, which is the other value. When we started, we were at this point. What this chart tells us is, if we start with assumptions of 50% and 60%, we can make a mistake in our assumption. In the case of the sales to another broker, we can be wrong by almost 25% and the decision would not change. And the probability of the license being granted can be as low as 36% before we have to wait for the license. So these two distances tell you the latitude you have in terms of any errors on the assumptions that you made at the beginning. So this gives management a guideline. And watch for this word solution valid. If the residual values drop below 0 into the negative territory, this will say that the solution is invalid, so you're not allowed to work in that zone. Okay, that's it for now.